We're talking about elite trades to make right now. That's why you're here. And by the way, everybody, I just want to let you know that we are doing a free 7-day trial of Patreon, patreon.com/Dynasty Rewind. But hey, let's talk some trades, man. That's what Dynasty is all about. This time of year anyway, because you're not setting any lineups. Let's talk trades, right? So we kind of split it up. We did a buy low, we did a sell high, and then you could kind of just
pick your poison.
Yeah. So Nate, who's your buy low?
My buy low, and maybe you're not buying super low, but I think you're still buying kind of low, is Nico Collins, wide receiver for the Houston Texans, and most importantly, CJ Stroud's wide receiver 1 moving forward. Right now, he's okay.
Some people might say Tank Dell. That's all I'm saying.
They can say Tank Dell.
But I agree with you.
They can say the rookie who was the same age as Nico Collins.
You love to point that out.
I love to point that out. I love to. I think it's very relevant. But Nico Collins, currently wide receiver 17 on Keep Trade Cut. Mike, using Dynasty Rewind ADP, we have him at wide receiver 12. So there's a little bit of a difference here. We're higher on Nico Collins over here than the consensus community by about 5 spots. And that's probably just almost about a round in a startup draft. So we are a little high on Nico Collins. So that's why we're buying low on him still. And you take a look at the stats. And to start off, he was the 3rd highest graded player by PFF among wide receivers last year.
Interesting.
And you take a look at the stats and you can see why. 3rd in the NFL in yak rec. Mike, we talk about this stat all the time. It's one of our new favorite stats to talk about. And I'm so glad that you've called it yak rec rather than yards after the catch per reception. That is such a mouthful. But now everybody knows yak rec. That's what it's all about. So he had 7.1 yards after the catch per reception, only behind Deebo Samuel, who had 8.7, and Rashee Rice, who had 8.1. So those guys are like aliens.
That one surprises me that Rashee Rice had 8.1.
Mike, I tried to tell you all last week. I brought this up last week that he was the 2nd most in the NFL behind only Deebo Samuel because Rashee Rice is a really good wide receiver who's better than Marquise Brown. But YouTube comments are going to tell me no. But just because Rashee Rice, I don't know why you guys don't think he's a really good wide receiver. Like, come on. Like,
you have enraged Nate.
He is an alien to have over 8 yards after the catch per reception. Some players don't even have 8 yards per catch. Come on.
That is true.
Outside of Deebo and Rashee Rice, you got Nico Collins, who also has that elite yak ability. Just to mention 2 other players. So there's only 5 players in the NFL qualifying who had 7 yards after the catch or more. So obviously Deebo, Rashee Rice, Nico Collins there. And then Khalil Shakir and Demario Douglas, Mike, both came in with 7 yards after the catch per reception. So I like the 5 players there. I think they're all really fun. And I think all of them would be pretty good buys. Maybe not Deebo because he's still a little expensive, but we'll see what happens with him. Anyway, back to Nico. Nico, very impressive 3.11 yards per route run. Very impressive because it was the 2nd most in the NFL last year, Mike. And one of only 2 players to have over 3 yards per route run. Hitting 3 yards per route run in the NFL is really hard to do. Nico Collins did it with a rookie quarterback and with Tank Dell on the field for some parts of the season. Nico, when he's on the field, he's super productive. And 3.11, very impressive, only behind Tyreek Hill's absurd 3.72 yards per route run.
Insane.
Literally insane. Like those are crazy numbers. But Nico's up there, and that's what we're talking about here. Only had 4 drops in the season, 4.2% drop rate, and had a 47.1% contested catch rate, which is really good. So I love these guys that get open, create yards after the catch, and win contested catch situations. They fill that wide receiver triangle for me. Nico Collins does it at an elite level on all 3 sides. So for me, I am buying low on Nico Collins right now. And can I move a guy like DJ Moore, Jordan Addison, and a 2nd-round pick for Nico? I might be able to, and I think I'm taking that deal all the way home.
I love that too. Now, just so you know, people might not consider that buying low, but I would consider that buying low for a wide receiver 1. I think we should put that out there. I love this. You know, I've been a Nico Collins fan for a long time, so absolutely sign me up with this. Nate, let's sell high. I kind of hinted on this last podcast. Sell those day 3 running backs while you still can, because the James Robinson effect is in full effect, which is why I am selling Los Angeles Rams running back Kyren Williams. Took a year.
Yeah, let's go, Mike.
But huge production from a back that the NFL draft devalued a little bit, a lot, whatever. It was running back 7 in 2023. So you're not selling a lower tiered commodity. You're not selling crap to try to get gold here. What is his realistic shelf life? We know what he looks like on the Los Angeles Rams, right? We know how he looks there in that McVay system, but Stafford's getting older, okay? Sean McVay had hinted a while back about leaving previously, if you remember that, talked about possibly quitting, and he's a day 3 pick. So these are all things that are kind of against him. He could be a guy that just drops off. So I want to try to maximize value now, especially if maybe you rode Kyren Williams. Great choice of words, Mike, to a championship last year. You can try to move on, tier up, however you want to look at it. So these are some moves that I'd be willing to make. I would move Kyren Williams for DeAndre Swift. These are actual trades, by the way, fantasycalc.com. Kyren Williams for DeAndre Swift, the 24-211 and a 25 third. DeAndre Swift's going to have a good year.
Yeah, I think so. And he's there for 2 years.
Perfect.
Can I say the same for Kyren? Oh, probably. But
yeah. A mid-first, Kyren Williams, and a 24 second for Joe Mixon and a 24 first. Give me that Joe Mixon side, man. Talked about Joe Mixon last week. He's a guy that I'm a fan of in Houston. Nate, I know you're not a fan. And in a startup, because, we're talking about that, some guys that I would much rather target, Devon Achane, Travis Etienne, I would target over Kyren Williams. Nate, who's your sell high?
My sell high is Jerry Jeudy. And going and looking at the values on Jerry Jeudy, it is volatile right now. It's really going to depend on your league. So we saw the contract come out. We saw the $41 million guaranteed and was like, oh, wow, look at the Browns being dumb and giving Jerry Jeudy a whole bunch of money. Well, Jerry Jeudy actually got $28 million guaranteed from the Browns. This is key because how it works out is he's getting $28 million guaranteed from the Browns. He's also getting $13 million guaranteed from the Broncos from his previous contract. So overall, that does equal 41 guaranteed. But really, the Browns have only invested $28 million guaranteed. So not quite the same. You see that up to $58 million on his contract. Those up to contracts they can trick you sometimes. So really, the investment in Jerry Jeudy was not quite as high as maybe we thought. How they structure the deal, he's there for 3 years before he gets out, before they can get rid of him. Now, if they trade him, that might be a different thing, but Jerry Jeudy is there probably for the next 3 years. Now, with that, if you can find someone who is excited about Jerry Jeudy still, because there are people out there, myself included at times, who have really believed in Jerry Jeudy and giving him a new place to try it, some new quarterback, new coach, just a whole new situation. The Broncos situation obviously was not working out very well for Jerry Jeudy, but now he's with the Browns, and you might be able to sell him for an early second and then re-roll on a wide receiver with Ladd McConkey or maybe Adonai Mitchell, depending on where he lands in your rookie drafts, or Xavier Worthy, or maybe you can pick up a running back in the early second, even mid-second. Current value is pretty low, so depending on the league, if you can't get him and move him for an early second, he's probably a hold. I'm not willing to move him for like a late second. I think, having a wide receiver that's going to be in one place for 3 years and should at least be a wide receiver too, you would think. I'm not ready to quite move on that, but I don't really believe in the Browns offense moving forward. We haven't really seen it from Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Amari Cooper is still there, who is the wide receiver 1, and I don't think he's dropping off a cliff anytime soon, to be honest. I think Amari Cooper is a really good wide receiver. He's only 29 years old, so I still think he has the time that Jerry Jeudy's there. Amari Cooper is going to be the wide receiver 1. With this, I'm trying to move Jerry Jeudy for an early second. I don't know if you're going to be able to do it right this second, but I think during this offseason, you will have the opportunity to move Jerry Jeudy for an early second, and when you can, you should do it.
Yeah, I agree. Of those two, who would you rather have, Amari Cooper or Jerry Jeudy?
I'd rather have Amari Cooper, man. I love Amari Cooper. I've had him on a bunch of leagues, and he has helped me win many, many weeks, especially playoff weeks too.
Let's talk about my buy low, and that's Tampa Bay Buccaneers wide receiver Chris Godwin, 7-year veteran, 4 of those over 1,000 yards. And consider this, all of the seasons he has played have been with Mike Evans on the other side. So he's been productive with a future Hall of Fame wide receiver on the other side. More about him some other time. Chris Godwin's the guy I want. The guy's so good. just great hands. Was wide receiver 28 last year. I think he could be a really solid wide receiver 2 on your team. He averaged 12.3 fantasy points per game. Another year with Baker, only going to make him flourish more. You can't hate that. Right now, you can get him for staggered seconds. So like a 24-second and a 25 or 25-24, however you want to look at that. I did see some trades here. Godwin for Wan'Dale Robinson in a second. I think I'd make that move for Chris Godwin. Yeah. And Jameson Williams on a 24th third for Chris Godwin. Jameson Williams just really catching strays all night tonight.
We're selling them everywhere.
We are. So Chris Godwin, definitely want him on my team. I just think he's really solid. He's going to continue to be solid. And I like what Tampa Bay is doing down there. Godwin, Evans, Cade Otton, Rashad White. Nice little starting offense down there in Tampa Bay.
Pretty solid, actually. Chris Godwin, I do like Chris Godwin. I think he doesn't have quite the upside that some other wide receivers have, but he has a really good floor. And I think if you can find a way to fit Chris Godwin into your team, a lot of times he's probably going to end up being a flex play for you if you have a somewhat strong wide receiver core. And if he's your wide receiver 3 or your flex play, you're feeling pretty good about that.
I'm also not buying Chris Godwin to be a wide receiver 1.
No.
I'm pairing him with a wide receiver 1.
Yeah. I personally wouldn't want him to be my wide receiver 2. I think, like I said, a wide receiver 3 on my team or a flex play.
That. Yeah,
that's
for sure.
You're hoping for if you're a contending team.
I'd like to take a moment to shout out today's partner, Mint Mobile. You and I both know that you're probably paying more for wireless than you should be. I know I was. For as little as $15 a month, Mint Mobile offers you everything you need. Whether it's speed, coverage, data, access to 5G, or unlimited talk and text. Mint Mobile keeps prices low by operating off the nation's largest 5G network and operating exclusively online. And that means no more pushy sales reps or waiting in long lines. On top of that, switching is easy and customer support is easily accessible through the Mint Mobile app, all from the comfort of your own home. Since making the switch myself, I'm still enjoying all of my favorite YouTube videos, streaming services, and catching up on my favorite podcasts without any drop in performance quality. Start saving today at trymintmobile.com/Dynasty Rewind. The link will be on your screen in the YouTube description box as well as the pinned comment below. And for a limited time, try any 3-month plan for just $15 a month if you sign up today. Thank you so much for listening and choosing to support this brand. But with all that said, let's get right to the content you came for.
Nate, you got a buy low for me?
I do. So earlier I was interested in Najee Harris. Well, there is another benefactor of Arthur Smith coming to Pittsburgh, and that's Pat Freiermuth. Pat Freiermuth, 60-plus receptions his first 2 years in the league. He was one of 3 players, I believe, to have 60 receptions in the first 2 years. Unfortunately, he was injured for a good portion of last year and was not able to have another season of 60 catches, though I'm sure he would have if he played all 17 games. He's had the injury, which affected his season, and now everyone's kind of forgot about Pat Freiermuth. I don't know why, because he was a stud his first 2 years, but hey, what have you done for me lately? If I haven't seen you, I've forgotten about you. That's how this community works. And right now, there is opportunity to buy low on Pat Freiermuth still. Like I said, the Arthur Smith is a positive for Pat Freiermuth. We know that Pat Freiermuth is going to be on the field basically every single play. They're going to run a lot of plays out of heavy set, which creates good matchups for Pat Freiermuth when he's running against a linebacker and able to get down the field. And I know we're all upset with Arthur Smith and what he did for Kyle Pitts, or maybe what he didn't do for Kyle Pitts. Jonnu Smith became a star there for a minute. But Pitts did have 89 targets last year while coming off of an injury. Freiermuth has only had 1 season with more than 89 targets, and it was his second season when he had 96. I think that Pat Freiermuth should be looking at 90 to 100 targets this year in the Arthur Smith offense. And with that, he should have another good season of low-end tight end 1 numbers with upside if there's touchdowns there. And with Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, we have more upside for touchdowns than we've had in Pittsburgh for the past 2 years with Kenny Pickett. I think that Pat Freiermuth has already shown us that he's an NFL tight end, and he's a good NFL tight end. And now, coming off a bad season, he's going into the best situation that he has been in yet. That creates an opportunity for us to buy low and reap the rewards when he's productive this year and can be your tight end 1. But most likely right now, you're picking up to be your backup tight end. You're picking him to be your tight end 2. So when you need to have your backup tight end play, or you have a bye week or something like that, Pat Freiermuth is going to be one of the best backup tight ends that you can have right now. And you can acquire him for Luke Musgrave, Dallas Goedert, or 2 other tight ends. I would move for Pat Freiermuth right now. If you're looking at a different position, a guy like James Conner, I would move for Pat Freiermuth right now. Or a mid-second, a 2025 second, I would also move for Pat Freiermuth right now. There's a lot of these players worth second-round picks that I really like the value on right now. And Mike, this is why that we preach all the time that you want to have second-round picks. You want to acquire second and third-round picks because you take a second-round pick and you add a third-round pick on it and you get Pat Freiermuth. Or you take a second-round pick and you get Pat Freiermuth. You get Najee Harris. You get these guys that we're talking about. Those second-round picks, you don't even have to use them to actually pick drafted players. You can go get veterans at good value right now, like Pat Freiermuth.
So, Nate, I have one more buy low for you this evening, and that is New England Patriots running back Rhamondre Stevenson. He let us down last year, so let's buy low this year and hope things change for us. He missed 5 games last year, 3 games with a high ankle sprain, just said inactive for 2 others. He was running back 35 on the season, but he still averaged 12.1 fantasy points per game when he played. Remember in 2022 when he was running back 7 with 14.7 fantasy points per game? Pepperidge Farms remembers. That's why we want you to get him on your roster. Look, the fact of the matter is New England is going to have to run the ball. I almost said Super Bowl. I don't know why they're not going there. I understand you signed Jacoby Brissett, but he cannot resurrect the careers of the men on that wide receiver depth chart. My God, it's bad. I'm telling people, hey, it's bad. Should I tell them what it is?
Yeah, tell us about the good guy who's there, and then give us everyone else.
I guess Demario Douglas be the good guy.
Let's go.
Kendrick
got that 7
Bourne.
yards after the catch. You got 7 yak wreck, bro.
Kendrick Bourne, pretty decent. We got KJ Osborne. All right. And then we have Jalen Reagor, Tyquan Thornton, Juju, Kayshon Boutte, TJ Luther, and Kawan Baker. But, I think he's only 26. I only want him for a year or two, to be honest with you. And then you can be away. But right now you can get him. He's valued around Alvin Kamara. Did see a trade, a 25 first for Stevenson and a 24 second. And also Jalen Warren.
Mike, I'll ask you a question with Rhamondre Stevenson. So Antonio Gibson went to New England. Are you worried about Antonio Gibson taking up a lot of those receiving targets out of the backfield? Because I feel like that's where Stevenson has really made his money fantasy football wise, is he's been the main target out of the backfield the past couple of years.
Yeah, we've been talking about Antonio Gibson taking people's targets for years now, and he's never really done it. So until he does it, no, I'm not worried about it.
He gets like 40 something targets a year. That's not nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's not nothing to sneeze at, but then again, this offense might be so bad, it might just be a 3-and-out offense. That is all we got for you. So thanks for hanging out with us. For Nate, I'm Mike. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.